Let me ask you a question. What are you longing for? What are you hoping for? For our life together, for our church, for our city. Maybe you saw in the past couple weeks some coverage of the Asbury revival, the little revival that broke out at Asbury College. It was even covered in the New York Times last weekend. And when the New York Times takes note of something religious, that's always intriguing to me. And if you read the stories and the accounts of what happened at Asbury, it was just a normal college chapel service. Some students stayed afterwards to pray and sing, and that turned into an 8 or 9 day period of just consistent confession of sin, prayer, worship, repentance. The people who showed up there just spoke of a space where it felt like God was really present, and where there was nothing really that dramatic or unusual happening other than just a deep sense of the presence of God and of God's people praying and confessing sin and worshiping. The historians who write about revival always say that what marks a revival is that churches don't do anything different than they normally do. It's just a special sense of God's presence that comes with a sense of awakening, a deeper conviction of sin, a deeper sense of love and longing for God. And as I read about that, and as I thought about what do I hope for our church, and what do I hope you long for our church and for our city, I long for us to experience that kind of revival, that kind of renewal, that kind of awakening to the goodness of God, to God's love for us, to our love for God through Christ. And when that happens, the byproduct of that is always that the gospel is compelling to outsiders and to unbelievers and to non-Christians. When revival breaks out, it not only renews Christians, but it awakens hunger and longing in people who are haunted by the sense of transcendence and who are wondering, does God break into our world? And is there any sense of meaning beyond this life? When revivals happen, those people always tend to be drawn in. So I want to ask you what you're longing for, what you're praying for, because it's my burden, my hope, my longing that we would be hoping for that in our church and in our gospel communities. And as we gather together, that we would want to experience God, that we wouldn't just want business as usual, showing up to things, doing the things Christians do, but that we'd be hungry for God, for His presence, for His power, for a deeper sense of His love for us. I'm praying that for you this week as you gather in your gospel communities, and I hope you'll pray for that. And I want to remind you, every morning we get together to pray from 7 to 7:30. You're welcome to join. It's an open prayer meeting for anyone who wants to come in the library. And one of the things I want us to consistently be praying for is renewal, revival, awakening. So I hope you'll join me in praying for that, longing for that, and hoping for that. I'll see you next week for another weekly update.